What's up, y'all? How you doing? Hope you're well. Hope everything is going well in your life. I hope you're having a wonderful Tuesday afternoon here in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee. A little hazy today. Little hazy. Little smoggy on Rocky Top. You could say today on this Tuesday, January 6th.
Yeah, look at how smoggy it is out
of
there.
2026. Wow. Yeah, look, but in Gatlinburg, we saw this earlier, Tom. Look out there. Can we go out to Gatlinburg?
We can go to Gatlinburg. There we go. Yeah.
See, you got
Night and day
Gatlinburg
out there.
and
yeah,
it's
Gatlinburg
just
looking beautiful as always.
beautiful.
And then in the valley, we're just.
And then down here in the valley, we're just this Los Angeles.
Just a big old layer of smog.
We're like Los Angeles today over here. I hope you all are having a good day. We got a lot to talk about here in the program, and I'm joined, as usual, by Lord of the Streams, Tom Barclay, and a new guest. Please introduce yourself, sir, please.
Hello, I'm Daniel. I'm a producer here at WBIR. Excited to be learning the ropes from the great Tom Barclay back here.
There we go.
Yeah,
there we go. Tom,
Best of luck to
Daniel,
you.
Wes. We got a lot going on today. Dudes rock today on this edition of the show, and we'll be doing at this is fun. Some hashtag progress that has been made. Or just evolution, I guess you would call it naturally. We're going to have a couple of commercial breaks during the show now at some point.
Well, some of y'all won't see it.
Some of y'all won't see it.
Ones of y'all watching on old 10 Plus there will see it.
Yes.
Watching on YouTube, no, you won't see it.
And you see it
We'll
some
just
other
be talking
places.
there.
We'll just talk through them. We'll have a little behind the scenes, a little backstage action that we'll bring you during those 2 minutes. It won't be like you're not going to get like a hot mic moment. Like I'm not gonna.
Yeah, we're not gonna
I'm
sneak in things.
Yeah,
here.
we're not gonna go to the air. I'm gonna go bleep 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 and just start throwing stuff. We're not gonna do that, but we will, be even a little bit more casual than we normally are during those breaks and talk about some fun stuff because we got a lot of fun to talk about today. Tennessee's got a basketball game tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, over there at Food City Center. So lots of cup. Lots of jumbo refills today of the caffeine. We got a lot going on. You got 9 p.m. basketball games. You got a toddler at home. You got a pregnant wife who will get up early in the morning no matter what. You got to push through it. There's a lot going on. Rule number 76, no excuses. Play like a champion. Big game for Tennessee after losing that SEC opener at Arkansas over the weekend. We talked about that a lot yesterday. If you want to go back and listen to some, I would say, fair but firm discussion on the state of free throw shooting and how bad it has gotten this season, how rare that has been for Tennessee this season. I don't blame Tom for opening up a beer right there because we're talking about free throws, and you got to when you think about Tennessee, when you think about Tennessee's free throw shooting, it's like, dude, what time is it? I just got to have one anyway.
It's a spark in the water, y'all. Come on.
Allegedly, the people will never know one way or the other, right? That's why.
I tried to mute my mic.
Keep it in.
Was audible over
Keep
yours.
it in the nondescript cup that I hope to eventually change to an East Tennessee Children's Hospital one. I need to go get one of those for my peeps over there. I'm going to do that. If you're listening, by the way, and you work over there, hit me up. I want to try to order one. I'm going to get an East Tennessee Children's Hospital mug to change old jumbo for here during the show. But we got a lot to talk about with that. Tennessee is a 10.5-point favorite over Texas tonight. Not entirely sure how I feel about that. And as you know, the past couple of weeks, your boy has gotten some of his prediction swag back after a rough month there. Was able to nail the basically just a couple points away from the total on both teams there for the Music City Bowl, and then called a couple basketball games correctly. Called that Tennessee would lose at Arkansas over the weekend, and I got to tell you, I think Tennessee wins this game tonight against Texas. I don't know how I feel about that 10.5-point favorite thing. We'll talk about that a little bit later because I think, again, Tennessee's really hard to beat at home. I think Tennessee wins this game tonight. 9 o'clock, late start, weird start. We'll see what the crowd is like. Elijah is going with me over there tonight, and he said he's going to look around the crowd and see if the average age of the fan is a little bit younger for a 9 p.m. Eastern start than it would be for a matinee or a 6:30 or 7 start. So we'll see what the ratio is over there. If there's some people even older than this dinosaur here talking to you that are going to be having lots of caffeine and spirits to stay up for that one, although it depends on the kind of spirits if you want to stay up or fall asleep, I guess. That's just a personal preference. We got a lot. We also got some commercial breaks. We talked about that. Got that going on. We got portal stuff going on. Tennessee adding another player. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. A big guy that Tennessee added from the portal for portal commitment number 2. Also, Tennessee has had now another player transfer elsewhere to the SEC. where Tennessee will be playing him next season. So that, I believe, is interesting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Also, what's going on with Tennessee and the quarterback situation, because they're kind of playing, I don't want to say playing with fire, but because everyone is playing with the fire in the portal these days. That's just kind of, you live in the fire. There's nowhere to go to cool off. Right now, you are a coach, football coach, dealing with the portal, dealing with the roster turnover every year, dealing with the pressure, the expectations. Yep. You are just living.
It's a big fire.
In a fire all the time.
It's a huge fire.
And it's just in what stage. Acres. Yeah, it's like what stage is this fire right now?
Right.
And that's what's going on there. So we'll talk about that. But first, I do want to get to something that yesterday we had a lot to talk about. And I had something that I really wanted us to discuss.
I think I know what's coming up.
And we just didn't have time to get to it. And I am sorry. We only had an hour. Hey, in the future, we could be a 2-3 hour show, and then whatever goes. I'll talk for 5 hours if you want me to. Just give me some caffeine, and we're good to go. But there was, over the weekend, a situation in nearby Morristown. I would say Knoxville area, Morristown. They would probably just say Morristown. That's where, of course, my mom worked for years. She was a dean over at Walters State, the baseball powerhouse.
Side, I believe, too, right?
Do I know?
Hamlin County side, too, I believe.
Yes. And so I got some connections there. Never lived in Morristown, but my mom worked over there for years as a dean. So I feel a little spiritually connected to Morristown in some ways. And there was, at, I believe, a pawn shop in Morristown, somehow a monkey got into a pawn shop. Is it capuchin? Is this what you call him? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's a great question.
It's a cinnamon capuchin
don't want to sound
monkey,
wrong.
I believe.
That sounds about right.
And,
it's definitely.
I don't know what his name is. I'm going to go with.
What name would we give? It belonged to somebody. It
Miles. I like maybe a Miles or since he's there bustling through the music like a Mozart or a Amadeus.
I mean, look at this.
Look at this guy.
Look at him go.
This guy. Look at this guy go.
Having a time. Wait for the next one where he just starts jumping around.
I have watched
quite the sight.
This video so many times in the past couple of days. Look at him. He's got a stick. He's swinging a stick. He's throwing. Look at this.
Yeah.
Is this a poster? What is this here?
It's like a box, I think.
And just going to town on this thing. And I mean, the only thing that it didn't have that I just so badly wish that it did have was him playing the drums. I saw him near the drums, but he didn't go play the drums. And if you are, don't get me wrong, I'm making jokes. I like most animals more than I like most people. He was safely
yes.
Handled. He was safely corralled, and I believe taken back to his owner. I keep calling him because I want to name him Mozart, but I haven't decided exactly on that. But just look at that face. That's going to be in our logo. I'm going to put that face right there in our logo because it is one of the top 5 pictures I think I've ever seen.
What was the pronunciation? Capuchin?
Let me pull it up.
Is Capuchin?
Capuchin, maybe?
How are we pronouncing this?
Hold on. I think it was Capuchin.
Capuchin.
Yeah, Capuchin.
Capuchin.
At least if you're going to go off
cinnamon Capuchin. That sounds like a
Capuchin.
Cinnamon Capuchin. That sounds like some sort of a coffee drink. Is what that sounds like, But and I am a big fan of primates in general. I have, and I'll never get one because look what they do. But I mean, but I just
from the pictures I've seen.
Yeah, but
in his
didn't they get a little bigger
state,
and they
looked like he was a real friendly guy.
You think that?
Yeah.
You think that, but then it's always like the leopard eating the face. Like at some point, the leopard's going to eat the face, right?
I think if you're trained, to handle,
I would like to think so, but
then it's probably okay.
I've always wanted one. Anyway, my wife has said no, that we cannot. She said
no Capuchin monkeys.
Absolutely
in the house?
never will have a monkey. Although lately we've been dealing with enough mice that I'm thinking about getting a barn owl.
How's that? That seems like it's even more maintenance than a.
I've heard. Now before
it's a predator.
Now, here's where we stand on this. This is back in the spring and summer. I don't like snakes. There's only a couple things in this world that scare me. I'm claustrophobic as can be, and I'm terrified of snakes. And you grow up near a farm, and you think, oh, he's fine with snakes. No, I just Indiana Jones. I just can't.
Why did it have
handle
to be snakes?
Any other kind of animal, spiders don't bother me. Even to a certain extent, like crocodiles and alligators and stuff don't really, really, really bother me.
I would probably take my chance with a snake before the crocodile.
See, snakes
Just
don't
gonna be
have
honest.
legs. It's not natural. It's the devil's creature. It just is. And
I mean,
so,
yeah. I could,
but I have a lot of, like, I grow a lot of stuff at my house, right? Like this is this is known, right? If you're a longtime listener of this show, the previous show, or if you followed me for a while, you know that like I have like a huge rose garden. I got like a couple dozen kinds of roses in the yard. I got a whole bunch of like flowers, vegetables, legal herbs, all sorts of things that we grow at the house.
disclaimer on that last one there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone knows. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression of what we're doing here.
It's just oregano.
Plus, I think there's a couple of police officers who live near me, so I just want to make sure, because sometimes they drive by and I keep a couple of the lighthouses in the backyard, because I got a few of them, like on at night with like the grow lights, and it's just begging for somebody to go by and be like, oh, what's going on in here, huh?
Not all hydroponics.
all-
I mean,
all
plenty
legal,
people use
all legal.
indoor herb grows. It's
Sure,
not that-
sure. And
that rare.
hey, it'll eventually be legal everywhere, but it's not legal here. So, but anyways, I don't grow it. And so it's,
You're not helping your case here.
well, no, but I'm just talking about the future here. But honestly, I got rid of a bunch of those snakes because I took them, I got them collected, I moved them out myself, which terrified me, but I got them out. And somebody at the time told me, he said, buddy, you've just messed around and you're going to find out, because you take away a few snakes, that's a whole lot of mice that you're going to have at your house. And I was like, I can't be that bad. But we have a house that was built in 1890. Of course, built in 1890 by General Custer. And so there are lots of little tiny closets in every room, lots of places to hide over 3 floors, just a lot going on there. And we've had a lot of mice and been trying to get rid of them, been getting rid of some of them. It's been a nightmare. You get one place fixed and then they come another place.
Yeah.
And so I heard that if, the snake will usually eat a couple of mice per week. And I've heard, though, that a barn owl will put down up to 70 in a week.
If you're talking about in the field, right? Like talking outdoors.
Yes.
Yeah, that would probably be ideal. You
But-
probably want to get a.
But if it's a barn owl, I'm thinking just make sure we're careful when we open and close the door. If we need to, because it's not like falcons where you can put the hood on them and then they don't hunt, and then you take the hood off and then they go hunt. But I thought maybe if we were careful and like tethered him to the banister, then maybe he could do his work, but he wouldn't be able to leave the house. So I'm just spitballing some ideas here, but that's where we are on the rodent problem. We've had a lot of
You're at
thought
the
that's
point
gone
now
into
where you're
this.
considering getting a barn owl.
Yeah, his name will be Steve.
Okay.
I've already decided. And if it's a girl, her name will be Steve. So regardless,
Either way,
I don't know why when I just
getting a
see a
Steve.
barn owl, I just keep thinking of the name Steve. I don't know why. It's just funny to me. Normally, I don't like giving animals like human names, but I'm just saying in this case in particular, I think that I think a barn owl with the name Steve would be fantastic. That's what I imagine when I close my mind. But that's what's been going on the past couple of days. And I just I didn't care. Yeah, after yesterday's complete omission, complete mistake, mea culpa, my fault, shouldn't have let it happen, and I did. But we didn't mention the monkey. And I'm telling you, the show is an hour. I spent more time yesterday watching that video and looking at that picture than I did both hosting and preparing for the show yesterday. And I'm not ashamed to admit
It's that captivating, huh?
Well, no, because I think the show was good enough that I won't get in trouble for saying that yesterday. But we had Elijah. We had a good time. Elijah had some grievances to air about things that were stolen from him in the office. I won't mention names, but Allison and Lindsay. And, we got that out. We cleared the air. We had a good show yesterday. But I didn't mention this. Just look at this. Honestly, why do we even work in sports when things like this are going on?
It's amazing that it found its way into a music shop out of it.
Yes. How did it go there?
Must have been something about it.
He wanted to rock.
Yeah.
Dudes rock.
Yeah.
It was a guy, wasn't it? Did we look this up? Cause
Actually, I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure about the.
I'll look it up.
I think because he we know that the monkey, and we'll go they for now because we don't know, but they were collected by authorities.
Yeah.
Owner was located. taken back to the owner. Now, I don't know what's going on there in terms of like, hey, by the
there's
way,
yeah.
it's not like you let your dog outside. Like, dude, this is a monkey that had to, So I'm sure there had to be some awkward conversations in there. I don't want to speak for the fine people of the Morristown, law offices, but I got to think that they might have had to have a stern talking to with the owner. Like, you don't want to be letting the monkey out of the house. You know what I mean? You go down the street, you see a monkey, you're like, whoa. Now, when my wife and I were in Barbados, they got green monkeys all over that island, and everybody just lives with them, and, that's just how it goes. But we're not really used to that in Knoxville, Tennessee. You walk around, you see a cinnamon capuchin.
Capuchin.
I don't know how to say that. Capuchin. I didn't know there was more than one kind of capuchin. I didn't even know how to pronounce it. I knew it was a word. I could pronounce cinnamon, but the other one I couldn't do. It bothered me yesterday that we didn't mention this. And this is going to be one of those bits that this is going to reward much more the video viewers than it would be the audio listeners. They're like, how are you still talking about this thing? But the people who are watching, they know. The people who are watching will tell those people, like, listen, normally we try to cater to both people, right? And when you're designing a show, when you're thinking about what it's going to be that day, first off, the thing, number one rule, the most you can talk about monkeys, you should, even if it's a sports show. And so if it's 1:30 your show, that's fine. Up to 1:3 is good, especially right out of the gate when there's a lot of sports going on. It's a good time to do that. But, we try to reward, hey, what if you're just listening versus if you're, watching and listening? We don't want to shortchange anybody. But when we have video of a monkey going loose in a music shop in Morristown, Tennessee, we just can't. I know a lot of words. I have to for work. It's sort of the job. Maybe I can't pronounce some of them, but I know what they are, and I don't have the words to describe how majestic that is.
Yeah, per some of the quotes we got about this monkey, Capuchin, it busted into a bag of potato chips as well.
Well, the guy's got to eat.
Got some crackers.
Guy's got to eat.
And one of the people said they watched him open up a pack of peanut butter and cheese crackers and eat some.
Nice. It's got good taste.
It does. I love those
of course, I'm
peanut
guessing
butter
that
and
was
cheese
just
crackers.
I'm guessing that was just all the food that was there.
I mean, whatever's hanging around.
Those sound like
it was a
snack
mix
foods
of like
hanging
an office, like there's like, I think for the store clerks, whatever, some of the office space computers and whatnot. And then you got the music instruments on the other side of the like little wall or whatever you want to call that there, So I think it just kind of messed around in pretty much the general area of that building.
Well, I know because we had an update yesterday. We had an update because we had the story. Shelby wrote it and Shay reported it on the air Sunday, and then we had an update yesterday that I think all was well with the monkey. So yes, I know that part, but it was returned to the owner, and we don't know. Maybe one day we'll have to find the owner and discuss and talk to the owner about what's going on there and what precautions he's taking in the future to make sure that Mozart doesn't get out and or just I would say my suggestion would be bring him some instruments.
I think there were some questions that
are you a musician yourself, sir? If you are, then maybe keep some stuff around. So Mozart, make sure you got some good snacks, peanut butter. He likes peanut butter. He likes chips. It seems some crackers, and make sure he's got some music to play because he just spiritually he had to go play music. So a piano, drum. I'm not gonna. It's your world, owner. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, I would think about that before we go to break.
Yeah.
I would like everyone to think about that. But don't worry if you had thoughts and prayers out for Mozart. He was found and he is good. And everything seems to be good. And when we come back here in just a second, we're going to talk about a lot of sports news. Mozart will remain in our hearts forever, but we will go on. And that I don't want to know what the real name is. It's just Mozart. So we're going to go on. We're going to talk back. We got a lot to talk when we come back. We got portal stuff. We got hoop stuff. We got lots and lots of it to discuss. So we'll do that here in just 1 second. Be right back here on 10 at 3.
And if you're watching us on YouTube or one of the other networks, welcome into our secret 2 minutes.
Yes. This is the secret 2 minutes.
The secret 2 minutes while this ad break runs on WR+.
Where we let people walk in the office. Don't worry, Maddie. You can shut the door loud. It's fine. Come on in here. You're good. This is the 2 minute break.
Yeah,
This is the we let our hair down and we go. I was worried when she opened the door there was somebody coming over here to give me bad news about Mozart. That's honestly what I was really concerned about. I was worried that a door came open and it was someone from our good friends over on the wall. Obviously, good friends. We love our bosses and directors. They're the best. But when I saw the door open and it was one of them, and I was like,
Yeah.
Am I going to get in trouble? I mean, my name's on the show,
We were
right?
waiting.
If I want to
They
talk
were
about
waiting
Mozart
for
the
the break.
monkey, I can talk about Mozart the monkey. Like I can do that, right? Like this was part of the discussion, wasn't it? So I wanted to make sure we were all clear on that, right?
Which, by the way, for YouTube viewers, we'll be back to, I guess, the normal conversation in a minute. Although this is kind of part of the normal conversation.
Yeah, it is.
But just so you know, you say you didn't want to know the name of the monkey. We got the name of the monkey.
Did confirm he's male.
And
it is male? Okay, good.
Chester.
Man, that's a really good name.
It's like
I'll be darned. That is
Cheetos,
that
Chester,
is
right.
That is a really good name. Oh, that is disappointing. I mean, I'm sort of happy, but I'm also sort of sad because I'm like, that is also.
And we'll be back in 30
really,
seconds.
Really good name.
Yeah.
But so that would be the secret now. If you get the secret 2 minutes, you know that the actual name is Chester. If not,
I think we should let our folks.
You think we should let the
I
rest of them
think
know
so.
too?
Yeah. Once we come back from break.
We'll do that. What do we got? About 15 seconds.
15 seconds. That's correct.
Yeah, we'll fine. We'll come back and say that somebody had a better idea than me. Which, I mean, if you have a monkey, you kind of rock anyway.
Yep.
Welcome on back here to 10 at 3, where we just had our secret conversation during the break where we were able to, unfortunately, learn the real name of the monkey. Confirmed.
Welcome back, y'all.
Confirmed. Welcome back. Confirmed he is a male. I don't say he is a male. He's still very much alive and kicking. And his name is Chester, which I hate that it's actually a really pretty cool name. I'm really a little bit disappointed by that. But nonetheless, his name is Chester. He rocks. He's good. Chester/Mozart.
Chester is a name that I would expect to be in a music store, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes, Chubby Chester.
Yep.
That Chubby Chester. Look, I just took the good name and made it better. Chubby Chester Mozart, that's his name. We got a lot to talk about, though, with the actual sports today. Tennessee has added a portal commitment from the portal. Tennessee has added a big guy. You would notice young Ori Williams if he walked through the door, because he is 6'8" and 335 pounds. That is a lot of mammal. That's like, what, 10 Chesters, give or take? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of guy. And he played. He was at LSU for 2 seasons, but he redshirted one of those. So he has 3 seasons left. He just played in 4 games this season at LSU. Of course, Lance Hurd hadn't played a tremendous amount at LSU either when he was a young offensive lineman who came to Tennessee. He worked out just fine. So maybe if you're Tennessee, hey, you take another one of those situations for sure. And the intriguing thing here for me with Ori Williams, who, by the way, was a 3-star prospect out of high school, although he was a composite, some people in the 4-star. So some people had him as a 4, some had him as a 3. He was a 4-star, 3-star coming out of high school. He was a 3-star out of the portal. I believe my former colleagues over there at 24/7 Sports have him at 461 overall in the portal, number 27 offensive tackle prospect in the portal. He played 4 games at LSU last season. And the interesting thing here for me is, you think about portal guys as kind of older guys sometimes, plug-and-play guys. There's also that component of portal guys where it's almost like a JUCO guy, where you take a guy who has played some college ball, but he still has multiple seasons left in front of him. And this certainly would fall under that category. And this is not going to preclude Tennessee from going after perhaps a couple of bigger names that are offensive linemen in the portal. But this is a guy who I'm intrigued by because he just played 2 seasons of varsity football in high school. So I would think there's good and bad with that, is what I'm trying to say. The tough part there is that you don't have as much experience to draw back on. The good news in some cases is you don't have many experiences to draw back on. And what do I mean by that? I mean that you don't have as many bad habits to break. Because sometimes if you've been playing football your whole life, but you have some technique things that are either just A, wrong, or B, okay, but not okay for the system that you're playing in at that school, or if you have terminologies or just habits of you've played like a wing T high school, you go through an elementary school, middle school, high school, and you're playing like a wing T, all this stuff, and then you go to a place that runs like a veer and shoot, or you go somewhere that's spread in the field. you got a lot to learn there. It's a completely different world for you. And so you're learning a lot of different terminologies, a lot of different, pass sets, a lot of different calls. It's just a different way of technique in a lot of ways. So if you've only played for 2 years of varsity high school football and then 2 years of college football, you probably don't have as many bad habits to break. So that's good and bad. I've seen that go both ways with players. So it's interesting because I think if you're Tennessee right now, you've pretty much got 4 of your offensive linemen starters for next season set, I think. Now, they could get hurt. They could, boys will be boys, dudes rock. They could get in trouble. Like, things happen, right? You are dealing primarily with 18 to 22-year-old men who are historically known for not consistently being great decision makers. Spoken from experience here too. Like, I'm not a hypocrite. I was an idiot at that age too. I'm an idiot now, and I'm way older than that. So, yeah, they're going to do dumb stuff, and sometimes they're going to not be able to play football because of it. But offensive linemen tend to not get in as much trouble as others do in some cases. So I think you're looking at a situation right now. Tennessee's got 4 starters for next season. I think David Sanders almost certainly is going to move from over to left tackle. And that may be a big part of the reason why, and I think it is part of the reason why Lance Hurd goes into the portal. Because Lance Hurd wanted a big, big payday, and which is fine. He's a solid enough player most of the time where you'd be like, okay, let's be reasonable. What do we need to pay you here? But he probably didn't want to do what Darnell Wright did and move to right tackle late in his career. So I don't think I think there's a couple reasons why he would have gone to the portal there. Tennessee's thinking, well, are we going to pay that millions, couple million, a little more than 2, a little less than 3, somewhere in there for a guy who, we don't know for sure he's going to be our left tackle because the other guy that we paid a lot of money for, he's got to move to left tackle at some point. You could talk David Sanders as a freshman into playing some on the right. That's a left tackle. So I think he's probably at left tackle. And then you got 3 other guys who I think if they're there, they're still there, they're healthy, they're good to go, good grades, good behavior, all these things. I think they're starters. That's Wendell Moe Jr. at guard. That's Sam Pendleton probably at center. And that's Jesse Perry either at guard or tackle. I think those guys, I think that's 4 of your 5 offensive linemen that are starters. Now, you don't just use 5 offensive linemen. You usually will use 7, 8. Now, you'd like to have 30, right, in case things happen. But realistically, you need to have 10 or 11 that you could throw in there in a pinch and they'd be all right. And you need 7, at least 7 that you feel really, really good about. Really, really, like if they're in the game, you're not just okay with it, you're fine with it. You're happy with them being out there. And so, and then the other guy is, obviously Sham Umarov, who I think is a talented guy. I think he's still could wind up being a very good football player. Played some for Tennessee this season, started a couple games. He's a big guy, a lot of talent, good athlete. I think he's someone who could get himself in the mix too. So I think with Ori Williams, you're not taking anybody out of the portal for the most part just to be a warm body. Now, there are times where you will do that because you've lost a certain number of guys. You have positional needs that you have to have depth and not just starter caliber players. So there's nothing wrong with taking some warm bodies out of the portal. But I don't think you take a guy like this with 3 years left and you don't think that there's something there. And he was a basketball player also in high school. I think he's put on about 40 pounds since he's been at LSU, which is pretty that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. Like, go put a 40-pound, chest plate on you and go run around for a while. You're going to feel the difference, right? It's different. Or just, do what some of us do and just, don't monitor your caloric intake for a while. And then, you'll get there. And so what happens, most offensive linemen, when they arrive in college, are not the exact size you want them to be. They're normally either a little too skinny or a little too big. And so you would usually rather put weight on them than have to shed weight, because the weight that you can put on, you can build the right way and proportion it with workouts and nutrition the way you want it proportioned. And so it's not uncommon for an offensive tackle or a guard or a center to be 30, 40, 50 pounds heavier than they were in high school. Because maybe, you get older, you need that size There's a reason why the linemen, as good as they are, as athletic as they are, there's a reason they got bellies, because you got to have pounds to have the strength. And so some of those pounds are going to be a little chonky around the midsection. So they're still unbelievably good athletes. They just have to be that big to operate the way they do. So long story short, I'm not bothered by a guy who has to put on 40 or 50 pounds. That's normal. That happens all the time in football. So I think there's still a couple of other guys that I know they're looking at. There have been a lot of names out there in terms of potential offensive linemen in the portal. And, I could tell you those names, or I could just do what I'm about to do and tell you the two that I know for certain that they've been kicking the tires for, at least. And that's a young man at Oklahoma State, Dylan Sikorsky, I believe is how you say his name. And then a fellow from Delaware, what's up, Blue Hens, Amari O'Neal, who is Anwar O'Neal is an offensive lineman there, if I could read my own handwriting. Those are a couple of offensive linemen I know that they've been in at least some contact with, or I guess colloquially speaking, you would say they've kicked the tires with, would be a way to put that. So that's technically, as far as we know, portal commitment number 2 for Tennessee. The first, of course, popped before that, because that would have to be 1 before 2, you idiot, Wes. The safety, Quay Moss, who is a nice looking safety prospect. He's got a year left. He's a guy who can step in and play and be solid. And he had an interception against UCF this year, if you go Google it, that would easily be one of the top 3 or 4 plays that any Tennessee defensive player made all year. I don't know if I'd put it in the same category as the Idris Farouk pick 6 against Kentucky, where he batted the ball to himself and caught it and returned it for a touchdown. That might be Tennessee's play of the year. So I don't know if Moss's pick down the sideline eclipsed that, but I know that it was incredibly impressive because it was a ball that looked like it was going to be completed down the sideline, vertical shot to a receiver, and he just kind of took it away from him and kept his foot in bounds. And it was a really, really nice play. So that's a guy that they've been looking at. They've been looking at also one from the same state, actually, the Sunflower State. They've been looking at someone from KU, been looking at a safety from there too. We talked about him a little bit yesterday. And so I think with the portal for Tennessee this season, what's interesting is there are some areas of clear need in terms of either depth or you just need dudes. Like, you don't just want guys. Some places you need a couple guys, but some places you need dudes, and those are different, right? We've said this many times. A guy's just a guy, but a dude wins you games. Get enough dudes, you can win a championship. You need dudes. Tennessee needs some dudes. And they can come at any couple different positions, but they need to get at least 3 or 4 like certified dudes from the portal. And that could be a quarterback. Desperately need at least 1, if not 2 in the secondary. Because in the secondary, obviously Ty Redmond's going to come back as a starter. No question there. And then I would imagine that there's a pretty decent chance Idris Farouk keeps his name there in the mix in some capacity. His film is really interesting, the sophomores, because it runs pretty much the full gamut of possibilities. At times he looks really good, and at times it's like, whoa, what's going on there? What were you thinking there? But he's a smart guy, plays hard. He's from Baltimore, so he'll hit you. Dudes from Baltimore, they will hit you. And for a guy who's not that big, he's basically built almost more like a corner than a safety. But he hits like a safety because he arrives at the ball and gives you everything he's got into hits. He's fearless. He'll throw his head in the cement mixer all the time. And you need some guys who will do that. So he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to start, but he's going to play if he's healthy and he's there. So, but then you've got at least 3 spots that I think are going to have to be new guys, a corner, a safety, and a nickel. And a couple different guys here can play. Some of the guys they've been looking at, the Kansas K-State guys, some of those guys could go in there and play nickel. You could do that. You can be either a safety or a corner and play that nickel spot. Just kind of depends. I like a big corner playing there, but if you're a fast enough safety, you can do it. And so they've just got to get significantly better there. There's other places, and we'll talk about quarterback. We'll probably talk about it in the final segment. But there's defensive end, I think. Defensive tackle, I think. Linebacker, check. Think they need that too. Then you go around offense and you go, yeah, I could see them needing a receiver. Maybe one tight end. Definitely need a running back. And now, with Max Gilbert leaving, going to Arkansas, interesting. You've got maybe kicker you need to bring in, because they got a couple guys on the team. One they redshirted this year, a freshman, Turbyville, the kid from Knoxville Catholic High School, one of the best kickoff specialists in college football. He can also punt, and he's also technically got probably the strongest leg to go out there and kick long field goals if you need them. So they don't necessarily have to have, like, the season will go on. They'll still have a season if they don't add a kicker from the portal, but I think they kind of probably should. So other than punter, you know what I've just described? Every position on the field. And that's what makes this Tennessee portal cycle so interesting to me, is that you, other than maybe 1-2 positions tops, you have to get at least one guy everywhere. I wouldn't panic about that. That's, again, adjust your reality. This is the normal now in college sports. But I don't remember a year like this one unless it was a new coach coming in which case, when Heupel's first season at Tennessee, you had more than 40 guys that were in the portal. You had scholarship restrictions you were dealing with, potential NCAA, huge problems. They had to take, okay, do you have 2 legs? Can you, if you're a receiver, do you have 2 hands, 2 arms? Like, can you run and chew gum at the same time? And do you weigh maybe 200 plus pounds? Yeah, we'll give you a shot. Like, there were a couple times where they just kind of had to do that, honestly. And it worked out, because the first couple of years that he was at Tennessee did more than anybody had any right to expect. But now what's interesting is you change almost your entire defensive staff. You have a bunch of corners who are good enough to go pro or command huge, huge money in the portal. And you're losing a bunch of veterans on the D-line, and your best linebacker's going pro. So you're basically rebuilding a defense. And to that, ladies and gentlemen, I say, good. I mean, I mean no disrespect, because every single person who has ever played for that football program could beat me up in a fight pretty quick. These are good athletes, ladies and gentlemen. Even the worst college football players you've ever seen at the smallest colleges you've ever seen are really good athletes. I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever. But the stakes are what they are. The expectations are what they are at Tennessee. And at times last season, it was like, just reshuffle the deck. Some of these guys are good. They can stay. But, like, dude, you just need a fresh start. Get some new staff in here. Get some new blood in here. Get some new players in here. Go get some guys, a couple dudes, and rebuild this thing. So I think it's really interesting, because they got a lot more to do in the portal, including some really, really interesting stuff going on at quarterback. And we're going to discuss that stuff right when we come back here for the final segment of today's 10 at 3.
All right.
Back in the 2-minute drill.
Daniel, how you feeling about all this, by the way? Since
feeling
what are
great.
your thoughts on how this has been going so far?
It's such a cool setup back here. I know that the audience is able to see the producer desk at a face level. I wish they could see all of the lit up buttons and switches that we can see back here. It's actually so cool. How did, from a production standpoint, if y'all are okay with me asking
Sure.
question, how did you signal Wes, or how did Wes signal you, knowing that we were about to take a break over on 10 Plus?
I just read the room.
Yeah.
You know,
Basically,
we that's how
this
these
is
things
an
go
organic
sometimes.
product.
Yes.
I know the hard. I know the hard out
You
times.
saw him. He's
I know the hard
for
out
folks
times.
watching. Yeah, he's got his eye on the clock there, which is a good. It's a good way to be, just like any good team.
It's like calling plays.
You know, you're
Oh, yeah,
keeping,
no,
keeping a close eye on.
And we
that.
have other hand signals, right? Like the, when you talk for a long time, especially with no commercial breaks, you get dry mouth.
Yeah.
And so I get stuff like that collects on my mouth, and there's a sign for that, which is this. If anybody back there does this, I know I got to do that. And then if I get any alfalfa,
You're revealing
sprout,
your secrets to the
I don't
audience.
care. It's
here,
fine.
friends.
I got like a double crown
30,
at least.
almost
back
30
here.
seconds, by the way.
And so if I have like a little sprout popping up, that's that sign.
Very subtle.
And so I just know that I got to go there, because sometimes you'll see like one little hair sticking up, and I cannot. When I watch it back, it's the only thing I can see on the screen.
Yeah.
I can't see anything else other than that alfalfa sprout. That's all I can see.
Right.
So that's a little inside baseball there for you.
Little.
Welcome back.
Well, hold on. 15 seconds.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I thought. See, I
10.
thought you just gave me the sign to go.
I'll give you the sign. I'll give you the sign here. But
I
yeah.
thought that was the sign.
All right, stand by, folks.
What is the sign?
The sign
Point.
is
You'll know.
this.
Welcome back to 10 to 3, ladies and gentlemen, where we've been having a good time today. We've been talking about a lot of things, including out in the natural world, David Attenborough style. We've also discussed some sports, which is nominally what we're supposed to be doing, I think. Although, again, not really. There's nothing that – I don't remember anything in that contract that says you have to talk sports. Now, I think you'd be encouraged. And if you want another contract, you probably need to, talk sports. But there's also a lot of fun stuff that we can do in here, and we've done that today. But something that we were not going to forget, we're going to move on to Tennessee's quarterback situation here at the end. But I did want to mention also that Tennessee offensive lineman, or former Tennessee, I guess you could still say VFL offensive lineman Max Anderson, is going to Kentucky. So he's going to transfer there. So that's at least two Tennessee players in this cycle who have committed to opponents, to Tennessee rivals, basically. I don't know if you call Arkansas a rival, but it's an SEC program, and Tennessee plays them a lot, and they're usually good games. And historically, anytime Tennessee goes to Fayetteville, Arkansas, almost nothing good ever happens in any sport. It's the reason they call it Fayette Nam. Nothing good ever happens when Tennessee goes over there. But if that's the case, other than maybe sometimes, a lot of times in men's basketball, decent things usually happen for Tennessee when they go up to Lexington, Kentucky. So, I guess good luck, obviously, to Max Anderson, who was a nice prospect when he came to Tennessee. Still think he's a guy who could develop into a nice lineman. And I'll say this, too. Say what you will about Kentucky over the years, they've had some good offensive lines at times. They called them the Big Blue Wall at times. They've been good. And they got a really exciting new hire there, the Oregon offensive coordinator. He's put together a pretty solid-looking staff. And we know that they're going to try to spend money up there, or else he ain't going there. And we know that they spent money before. That may have cost some of their NIL dissension in the ranks this season, where they were kind of a mess up there. But nonetheless, it's a hard job. But if you're good enough at it, cycle up a little bit, you can do some good stuff up there. So good luck to Max Anderson. I imagine Tennessee fans will wish him luck at times, but certainly not, at least on one day a year, they will not. And that's how that goes, because I guess you're technically still a VFL if you go to a rival, because technically there's no rule, there's no VFL statutes, right? Like if you played for Tennessee, you're sort of a VFL because that's you are. But then you go to a rival and it's like, I don't know what happens there. Speaking of rivals, there is a possibility, ladies and gentlemen, a possibility that Tennessee's quarterback next season could be the guy who has started at Alabama for a couple of seasons. Ty Simpson could, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know that this will happen because there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts in this. But I started digging into it when good friend Chris Lowe, who works now for On3, spent years at ESPN, before that, the Nashville Tennessean. I joked that basically when I got into this business, my first main job was covering Tennessee for the Chattanooga newspaper, going up against CeeLo for the Tennessean. And CeeLo has been for years one of the very best sports reporters in the college game on planet Earth. And so basically the joke was, well, I started my career getting my tail kicked by CeeLo, and 25 years later, sometimes he still just does it. And because he's one of the best. He's one of the best guys in the world, too. He put out there that he believes that if Ty Simpson does not get a first-round grade from the NFL people for this year's draft, he thinks that Simpson will go into the portal, and he thinks Simpson will transfer to Tennessee. If Chris Lowe is saying that, he ain't pulling that out of the air. And so I called and did some digging a little bit, and that is, in some ways, there's something going on there, obviously. Heupel was recently in Martin, Tennessee, looking at a few other prospects. And, hey, that would be really interesting because Simpson really considered Tennessee out of high school, like strongly considered Tennessee out of high school. At times, people thought he was going to Tennessee. I was one of them who at times thought, I think he might be going to Tennessee. And I say this as someone who's known his dad for a long time. His dad is the head coach at UT Martin, Jason Simpson, who, when I got started in the business, as I told you, working at the Chattanooga newspaper, he was the offensive coordinator for the Chattanooga Mocs. And so I first met him 05, 04, somewhere around there. And so I thought Ty might be going to Tennessee. And then he picks Alabama. Can't blame a kid for that. You just can't. If you're a football player, goes to Alabama, you're like, I can on no level can you say I do not understand your decision. You can say I don't like your decision. You can say I wish you hadn't made that decision. But it's hard to say you'll regret that decision. Sometimes you do because you don't play, or sometimes whatever. But he played, became the starter, and played through just a comical amount of injuries this season, and was for much of the season a Heisman Trophy candidate. Not a perfect player. 6'2", not the tallest quarterback, but just a good football player. Was it 26, 27 touchdowns, 5 picks this season? And the interesting thing there were times when Nico Iamaleava left Tennessee, there was a hot minute or two there, hot couple days, where I thought it was possible that Ty Simpson would have transferred to Tennessee last offseason. That was actually a real-world possibility. There was a chance, a legitimate chance that could have happened. Didn't, obviously, because at the time Simpson's like, do I know for sure I'm going to start at Alabama? Do I know? You know what? Like he didn't know, and he's like, hey, Nico's leaving. I've always kind of liked it up there too. Hey now. So that is fascinating, and the other team to watch there is Oregon because Oregon's also very interested in him. They're losing a quarterback. Their quarterback this year will be probably the number 2, number 3 overall pick in the draft. They're Oregon, so they're going to have another quarterback coming in. But, Simpson would have something to think about there. And to be honest, if you go to Tennessee, if you're Ty Simpson, you're going to be the starter almost certainly. Almost certainly. I don't know why you wouldn't. But there are still technically 2 5-star freshmen on that roster, so that's interesting. But what's super interesting about this is you've also got the situation with Joey Aguilar, which has not been resolved. There's been no updates, huge updates in that court case. But you know the way court cases work? Sometimes, really quickly, they just get an answer one way or the other. So that I wouldn't call that imminent, but I would think before too long, because of the timing of the issue, they're going to push through and get some kind of resolution on that. Either you win the case and JUCO eligibility doesn't count, which again, with all apologies to the Aguilar family, to the Pavia family, I don't know if that's a great thing if that rule gets passed. But I'm not going to call it the worst thing ever. I've heard much worse. That's not the very worst thing I've ever heard. But if you were like, hey, right now, I'm grabbing you by the collar of the shirt, give me an answer right now. Do you think JUCO season should count? I would say yes. But it's not a travesty if they don't. And obviously, if you're Aguilar, you would like them to not count because you would get top dollar to come back and most likely play at Tennessee. But so then what happens with the Ty Simpson thing? Who's waiting for who? And is this a situation where you're running the risk of being left holding the bag and you have no one to receive the bag. It's not like you're holding the bag when the cops come. It's like you're holding the bag trying to give it to somebody and you don't have anybody to give it to. You're like, well, I can't give this to you because you're not worth that much. You're not worth maybe what Simpson or Aguilar would be worth. Simpson, this level of money, pretty, really, really high. Aguilar, just below, below that, but still high. And so that bag is going to be a pretty big bag that's just kind of sitting there. And then someone like Faison Brandon or George McIntyre say, hey, by the way, I heard those coins jingling in your pocket when you walked over here. Heard you got your pants sagging? Is that you got all that weight in your pocket? Is that money for me? Somebody's got to have it, right? And then you're trying to say, well, no, you've already got yours. I'm trying to add to this too. So this is why I said earlier, why you're just living in a fire. Because you have to manage all of this. You have to manage a situation where tomorrow, like there could be a world tomorrow where Ty Simpson calls you and says, you know what? NFL told me I'm a second round pick. I want to be a first round pick a year from now. If you're going to pay me X million, I'm here. Done. Let's do this. Let's go. Let's roll. And then you're like, yeah. And you're high-fiving everybody like at the end of, Top Gun. And, you're out there hugging and having all. And then your phone buzzes. Diego Pavia, Joey Aguilar case ruled in favor of Pavia and Aguilar. And so then you're like, you're making at least one awkward phone call then. Or what happens if, neither one of those things happen? And you know how these things happen? You know how I know they happen? The reason Tobe Awaka is at Arizona right now. Because nobody knew Jonas Adu was leaving that offseason. Tobe Awaka goes in the portal because he's been told by everyone else, because everyone else thinks that Jonas Adu is coming back to Tennessee. Then all of a sudden, hey, 180, Jonas Adu's going to Arkansas. Tobe Awaka's already in the portal. His pride at that point said, you know what, I've already put my name out here. I think it would be awkward. Arizona's offering me a good deal. I think I'm going to go. And so Tennessee should have had at least one of those guys and ended up with none of them. Now, it turned out okay. Tennessee put together a pretty good roster. They probably wouldn't mind having Tobe Awaka right now, who's a ferocious rebounder for one of the best teams in college basketball over there in Tucson. So, yes, like things like this do happen. And in basketball, that's a smaller number of players. In football, dude, this stuff is happening for so many guys all the time. So you sit there, if you're like me, and I think like a lot of people, there's days where you sit there going, why are there so many people on this football staff? How could you possibly have a need for that many people in your program? Like, you want to help people sometimes, like walk them in a room and be like, here's 10 people randomly we picked out. Do you know all their names? Do you know what they do? I mean, these things genuinely go through my head where I'm like, do you know this many people? Do you know what they do? Why do you need all these people? And then you think about situations like this and you go, okay, now I kind of get it a little more because you're dealing with that many things at a time while also trying to, deal with boosters and deal with, the players you actually have and coaching them, making them better, preparing things, setting schedules, logistics, nutrition, all these things. It's like that might be why you have like your football program is the size of like a 6A high school, like with the number of people who are in this thing. I don't know if you know all their names, but most of them are probably there for a reason. And you got to recruit too year round. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into this stuff. And that's why it's so easy from this side. And we all do it. We all do it. To sit here and go, do you even know what you're doing over there? Look at this mess you've got over here. Honestly, there are times where I sit back and think, How were they not all a disaster all the time? How does any of this work? How can you possibly? You talk about aircraft carriers don't turn quickly. Try turning one of these college football programs quickly. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. And then you think about things like Kurt Signetti at Indiana, and you go, I got nothing on that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you went there and did that in that much time, which is why that's one of the most ridiculous coaching jobs I've ever seen in any sport, anytime in my lifetime, period. So yeah, long story short, before we get out of here, that's a lot going on. That's a lot. And they don't even have to deal with monkeys, but everything else they do. Capuchins, everything else, we have to deal with those. And we'll deal with those tomorrow too. I don't think I'm not going to try to get him in here as a guest. I'm absolutely going to try to do that. And I will start working on that here in just a few minutes. And we'll see y'all in about 23 hours.